So I say, hey, I do pretty houses, the pretty house profits, that type of thing, where we simply do lease option assignments. Typically, we're working with houses that are 200,000 and above, not always, but typically 200, 250, 300, 350, et cetera, $1,000 houses. And we assign those, and that's what we teach our students to do. And obviously, as you well know, there's the straight lease option, there's a sandwich lease option. And I tell my students, or anybody, that I highly recommend not to do a sandwich lease option or attempt one until you've done maybe 4 or 5 or 6 assignments, so you understand the flow of the lease option, how the numbers work, what you're looking for, and you're not putting yourself into a difficult situation. I say that as an investor, something you never want to do in real estate is become the desperate seller. And you can do that in a subject to or a sandwich lease option if you don't understand the nuances and know what you're doing. So sticking with lease options for a moment, I know we're taking a big veer away from the split level house. That's a whole, I cannot wait to get back on that some other podcast. When it comes to lease options, is there which specific lease option do you prefer? Which one do you do more of? So talk to us a little bit about which lease option do you really like? Which strategy do you like?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I because of my background, as I say, I ran about 2,000 apartment units, and for our company, and so I'm familiar with being a landlord. So sandwich lease options didn't scare me, and that is where I began actually with sandwich lease options. And the reason is, as you would know, there's 3 paydays there that I like very much. But I'm a stickler for residual income. So I like that rent spread, okay? Because if all else fails while you're, looking for new deals, at least you got that monthly coming in. So when I first started back in '94, I started in wholesaling. And the reason that I went into lease options was because I was looking, when you're doing wholesaling, as you well know, you're going to throw out a majority of leads because they won't take your low offer, or there's not enough equity in the property to make it work. So how I got into lease options was I one day I kind of stared at I caught my waste paper basket, my trash can, and I'm looking at it, and there's like a huge pile of what I call property information forms. Those are the forms I use to fill out the information on the properties. And it was just, the trash can was full of them. And I said, well, this is ridiculous. I'm spending all this time, all this money to find these deals, and I'm throwing 95% of the leads into the trash. So I said there had to be a way to turn these leads into deals. So I started doing a lot of, research on the various niches out there. And I found about 5 of them, sub-2, fix and flip. You're familiar with, these different niches out there that would all work. But what I found was that lease options worked very well because, as you know, you don't need a lot of equity in the property or any in order to make the deal work. And you don't have to lowball people with offers. Yeah. So you could give them pretty much what they wanted, and you didn't have to worry about the equity problem. So what I found was that normally for me, John, it took about 25 leads, somewhere in there, to get a deal.
Yeah.
And I was doing 2-3 a month, and you can imagine what I'm throwing in the trash. So what I found was that I could turn at least 1, if not more, and usually more, of those dead leads that I've been throwing away into a lease option deal, either a sandwich or a wholesale, depending upon, how far it was and what the numbers were and that type of thing. And at any rate, when you do the math, it's pretty simple. If I was averaging 1 at normally around 10,000, somewhere between 5 and 10,000 option consideration back then. And if you're doing just one of these dead leads a month, well, if you do the math, it's somewhere between $60,000 and $120,000 a year that I was able to put in my bank account rather than throwing in the trash. And that's how I got involved with lease options. I did it to save the leads that I was throwing away from wholesaling.
Yep.
And my choice was, and I agree with you with regard to getting involved with the sandwich lease options right up front, because if you're not a good landlord or don't want to be a landlord, it's going to be a problem for you. So you're correct. I agree with you. You know, your I call them wholesale lease options. Okay. They're probably a better place to start in that it's a clean deal. You're in and out. You don't have to be a landlord. But as far as which one I like better, I like sandwich better because I like those I like the upfront money. I love the rent spread, and the back end money ain't bad either. So
Yeah.
because of my background, I didn't have a fear of being a landlord. I'll put it to you that way.
Now, and you'll be honored to know that I think you're the first interviewee where I've been taking notes and on questions and topics I want to ask here. So